Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lilis Anggraini from Class A Chemical Education. In this video, I will presentation about our practicum in organic. The title of this experiment is Modification of Sulphur. Objective: first, to study several modification of sulfur. Second, to study characteristic of hydrogen sulfides and sulfuric acid. Sulfur is a crystal solid that is highly reactive with all elements except gold, platinum, iridium, tellurium, and the noble gases. However, sometimes it exists in the form of a net slip song. Sulfur usually occurs as sulfides and sulfates materials. Experimental work scheme. First, modification of sulfur. In evaporation cup, first blend 0.5 gram of sulfur in evaporation cup by heating the sulfur until it melts and freezes. Next, observe crystal strips. They generate yellow crystal. And in test tube, first hidden 0.5 gram of sulfur powder in the test tube while shaking it tube. Next, observe the sulfur color change. It generates brownish yellow. Experimental work scheme of characteristic of sulfuric acid. First, heat a piece of copper in a test tube. Second, containing 1 ml sulfuric acid. Third, observe the activity in the test tube. 3. Write the reaction equation. And the general is bubbles appear in the test tube. Next, place the filter paper moistened with potassium chromate solution in the mouth of the test tube. Next, observe the color change in the filter paper and then write the reaction equation. The general is filter paper that was originally yellow turned with brown. Discussion. First, modification sulfur. In the sulfur modification experiment, there were two different treatments, namely heating the sulfur in an evaporation dish and in a test tube. When sulfur is heated in an evaporation dish using a hot plate, the color changes from yellow to red and the sulfur melts. After being allowed to stand for a few minutes, the sulfur solves and crystallines from. Then heat the sulfur in a test tube. When sulfur is heated in a test tube using a hot plate, after 5 minutes the sulfur melts and the color changes from yellow to deep red. This is because there is an effect of heating speed where if the temperature is increased, the color of the sulfur will be darker. Second, sulfuric acid characteristic. In the sulfuric acid characteristic experiment, the first thing to do is heat a piece of copper in a test tube containing 1 ml sulfuric acid. When heating takes place, bubbles are formed. Then after the heating process is stopped, the color changes from clear to brownish yellow. Next is to put filter paper moistened with potassium chromate solution at the mouth of the test tube in the first experiment. Then heat it. When heated slowly, the yellow color on the filter paper disappears or turns white. Then the next step is to put sucrose in a test tube and 10 drops of concentrated sulfuric acid, then heated using Bunsen heating. When heated, the color changes to black. Conclusion. Based on the experiment that have been carried out, it can be concluded that the modification of sulfur can be seen from change in the structure of the sulfur itself, which is marked by a change in color and the formation of crystallines. As for the experimental characteristic of sulfuric acid, it can be concluded that sulfuric acid has the property of being an oxidizing agent, which is called an oxidizing agent.